Well, thanks everyone for coming. It's awesome of Brown Bag. I want to say first off, you guys are awesome, incredibly good hosts. There's so many of you here. We love the love and the support. Thank you very, very much for having us and for being such fun and gracious hosts. Thank you. A little round of applause for Brown Bag. Can't imagine anyone doesn't know this, but my name is Josh Gertz. I'm the director and co-founder of Ammo. This is our monthly meetup entitled Earning Points, a look at how mobile has shaped the loyalty business. We have a bunch of folks that we're going to introduce who are, in some way or another, experts on this topic, right, Billy? Right. Just say yes. You are now, because I said so, and it's on the internet, so that means it must be true. Speaking of which, we always want to take a moment to thank our streaming sponsor, Luke and the folks at Ground Floor Video. Smile, you're all on candid camera. This is being webcast live right now, and the recording will be available afterwards, so if Brown Bag, if you want to do anything with that, you'll be welcome to as well. A couple of housekeeping notes. The annual awards, the 2016 Atlanta Mobile Awards, will be hosted this year on Thursday, November 3rd at the Loft at Center Stage, which is our home away from home. We love the Loft and we love the folks at Center Stage. I want to remind everyone why we do this, just quickly. Yes, it's great to win awards, and that was definitely where we formulated this about 4 years ago, but the reason that we've come to proliferate this is to promote the city of Atlanta. It is my contention and our contention that we don't get the credit we deserve. That this is actually one of the top mobile hubs in the world, but if you stop the average person walking down the street, say in Chicago or Detroit or Columbus, Atlanta would not be on their list of top mobile hubs in the world. So our idea is to create a forum to create PR and press for all of the great mobile work being done. I've said this before, but if you apply and you meet the criteria of the application, you are a finalist. That's the way things work. We are accepting all groups and kinds. We want to promote everyone, and together we are stronger than we are apart. We are all in this together. By the way, for those of you who don't know, this is obviously, maybe not, this is not my full-time job. I work for a startup in the mobile space, and we are going to enter the awards. So this is as much part of my life as it is for those of you sitting out there. And hopefully, if you have projects that you're working on, you'll enter them. And if you know other people who work in and around the city who work in mobile, please help us spread the word. There is no cost to enter the awards, and we have a very fun ceremony, like I said, on the 3rd. It's this year, if you're familiar, Mara Davis, famed DJ from Z93 and Dave FM. She's going to be the MC of this year's awards. We're really excited to have her. And we have some great arrangements with folks like the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and the Atlanta Business Chronicle to give us some much needed press. So please apply, tell your friends, come on the 3rd, be part of it, it'll be great. Last piece is that we are having a meeting next month. It'll be our last meeting of the year because we have the awards, and then there's a Christmas party we go to in December. And that'll be Thursday, September 22nd at Moxie. The topic will be something I think we're formulating, calling it Beyond Pokemon Go, the real business cases for augmented and virtual reality, and talking about the business side of those technologies and how people are making money from that. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to sit down now and stop being the MC and go back to being a member of the panel. Let's start with Lindsey all the way over on the right. If you would, please start with introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about how you fit into this particular panel on mobile loyalty.
Thanks. I'm Lindsey Lynes. I am the Director of Business Operations at Brown Bag's sister company, Vetlocity, that was built high and large specifically for loyalty programs. We specialize in animal health in a specific company, but working about 10 years in and around rebates and rewards and how that transitions into loyalty. So my day-to-day job is just to ensure whatever you super duper smart kids can live on forevermore and be well supported.
Nice. Cool. My name is Ron Herman. I'm the CEO and founder of Midtown Atlanta-based Sonic Mobile. Our platform is referred to as PieOn, and it is about to support 150 million app users around the country through partnerships with companies like GM, OnStar, all the my GM brands. Sprint, if you're a Sprint user, you're going to be seeing My Sprint rewards coming soon. And we focus on basically a mobile commerce connection between consumers and businesses, whether they're small business merchants like Zocalo at 10th and Piedmont, or enterprise businesses like all the 4,600 Sprint stores around the country, or even very large enterprises, very large retailers like Lowe's. So we facilitate the payment, the reward that's associated with the payment, and we happen to do a little bit of marketing and free advertising for our businesses.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. By the way, shameless plug, two-time winner of Atlanta Mobile Awards. Two-time. Billy?
Hi, my name is Billy Derby. I'm a senior account director at Brown Bag Marketing. I'm the account director for one of our clients that's in the animal health space, and so we work very closely with Vetlocity in supporting their loyalty programs. If you don't know, Brown Bag has been around for 14 years. We're an integrated creative marketing agency. While we are talking tonight about a lot of technical and digital capabilities, we also do print and mixed media and interactive media, and verticals in B2C and B2B, so across all different types of industries.
Hi, I'm Erik Rahtjen, and I'm a software engineer at Stable Kernel, and I used to be the former lead developer at Woblet, which was a loyalty program here in Atlanta just for restaurants in the Atlanta area, and we actually had to shut our doors about a year ago, and so that's where I come to play.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to do my best not to call on people. Please feel free to volunteer, although if you don't speak, you will be called on. Let's start with just sort of the larger topic, and we'll try and get more and more specific as the conversation goes on. But first question, why have a loyalty program at all? Why even bother? Anybody want to chime in? What's a loyalty program good for?
Well, it's not good for everybody.
Okay, so why have one?
In fact, we were just having a conversation, a sidebar conversation. Let's take a look at Plenty, for example. Good intentions, American Express funded and backed coalition of merchants. But how many of here are you any of you Plenty folks? One, two?
Just because I bought a mattress and it came with it.
There you go. Yeah, so you three. That's not bad. Actually, that's quite good. It's better than the last panel I spoke on. So, Plenty, again, had great intentions, and there's nothing wrong with the coalition. In fact, we're somewhat in a coalition space ourselves. The difference is you have to keep it simple for the consumer. And if you don't know how you're going to earn and spend Plenty points from Rite Aid to Macy's to Enterprise Rent-A-Car, it's really a challenge to try to. First, you got to double swipe, right? Pull your card out, swipe. Pull your credit card out, swipe. That's not an easy way of doing business, and that's certainly not worth it, to get a few points here and there. So when we say, loyalty is not for everyone, take a step back and think, getting back to Plenty, Macy's has its own rewards program, right? AT&T has its own rewards program. So where does this layer on top of all of that? And it's so confusing to us as consumers, is it really worth the trouble? So our position is one program, one point structure, many places to earn and burn those rewards, and it's got to be simple. And the best way to make it simple is to put it on the app, on the device. Making it even simpler is putting it across multiple apps. So no matter what any of you have on the front screen of your phone, whether it's Facebook, I'm a big Amazon guy, so I use the Amazon shopping app on a daily basis. And it should be second nature. You shouldn't have to think, which app do I need to pull up to go earn points and spend points? It's got to be, I walk into a place and it's like, I get a little push notification, says pay with Amazon, and I'm getting rewards right away. And I'm paying with the Amazon credentials that I already trust online. That's really what I think loyalty should be. Not loyalty to Bank of America or American Express, because the credit card companies, as you know, they've really hijacked the loyalty space, and we're all kind of hooked on it. I'm personally hooked on Sky Miles, right? But every time we see the transactions going through our platform, and as you know, the American Express is the most expensive credit card. In fact, more specifically, Delta's American Express card is the most expensive card for merchants to accept. So when I go to my friends at Zocalo, the managers and owners of Zocalo, or Cut Atlanta, where I get my hair cut, they don't appreciate the American Express card because they know it's going to cost them more. That's not loyalty, right? Loyalty should be to Zocalo and to Cut Atlanta.
So I'll answer that on the side of the corporation. Why would they be interested? I think in animal health and in many corporations, the manufacturers sell their products to the veterinarians, which then sell their products to the pet owners. And so you lose that ability to see the transaction and who's actually buying the end product. And loyalty programs can benefit the manufacturers, and especially consumer loyalty programs, in that it gives them visibility on who their top producers are as far as customers. And then once you identify who those folks are, through, and we'll talk later about it, but through gamification and through even simple as rebates all the way to rewards and even services and gamification, you can then incentivize their behavior. And then lastly, I think the main benefit that we're all talking about is data. So we're now able to see through all the way to the pet owner and what their purchasing behavior is, that we don't have that visibility through the vet transactions with their pet owners.
My personal favorite in that space, when we talk about data, is Kroger. Kroger has the hijack theory. If you don't join our loyalty program, everything in the store costs more.
Right.
But the only reason they want that, they want to give you that lower price. They just want to know what you're buying. They want to be able to track your buying habits. It's just about the data, right? So, Eric, thought about this?
One of the nice things about loyalty as a platform is that you can use it to ID a customer who goes to, say, Zocalo, or a customer who goes to Macy's, and figure out what times of day they spend, what times of day they like to go shopping, and use that as a form of marketing. So you can sort of send a message in a much more targeted manner to a specific user. And I think that's one of the real benefits of loyalty.
So I was just going to piggyback and say that since everyone has loyalty programs now, people are using them as table stakes. I think one of the unintended consequences is that so many people do it so badly that it kind of gives everyone kind of loyalty fatigue, and you want me to do what, and what do I have to do now? So I think a lot of these people who claim their loyalty programs are actually rebate programs I'm encouraging that next behavior versus I'm trying to foster my entire relationship with you from an ongoing perspective. So I think once you can lift the reward or the value beyond price, something intrinsic, something that they will return back to from a behavioral level, I think that's when you have a real loyalty program.
And you bring up a really good point, and Ron talked about this a few minutes ago, but not all loyalty programs are worthwhile for the consumer, for the brand. A lot of them are broken. So that brings up question number 2, which is what's the definition of a good loyalty program?
I think it is.
And you touched on this.
Yeah.
I think Amazon, there are some companies that clearly do this well.
Right.
But so to you, what's the definition, Lindsey?
I think it's when you make purchase outside of convenience. So it might be more expensive, it might make you do a little bit more, but you're so loyal to this one brand because of what you get and what you give and receive in return that you're willing to put a little skin in the game. And I think so many people just try to race to the bottom and make price the cheapest amount, that's not loyalty. It's when you really hook them in and you can foster that relationship from an ongoing perspective.
Yeah, if you live in Atlanta, you fly Delta, right?
Totally.
That's it.
That's the way it is.
Are there other airlines?
Delta's an acronym. Doesn't everything lead to Atlanta? So, thoughts, either of you? What makes a good loyalty program?
As far as a good loyalty program, I know what makes a bad loyalty program.
Okay, what makes a bad loyalty program?
So we had a lot of experience trying to sell to restaurants in Atlanta, and this was after Groupon came into the space, and they almost bankrupted so many of our clients, and it was really tough to go in without any sort of value give to them. They didn't believe us that we were going to be able to draw more customers or drive any more traffic to them, because what they saw was the last guy who drove a bunch of traffic to my business. They came once and we gave them a huge discount and they never came again. So I think that's a real danger of loyalty, is you get into this sort of mentality of just discount, and that's not really what the loyalty space is.
Agreed.
I think going beyond just thinking about the transaction and thinking about with your loyalty program what either sort of information, education, or reminders that you can provide them that will then eventually lead into that transaction. But there's, I don't remember the stat I've seen years ago, but it's something around 95% of apps that are downloaded aren't open a month after they've been downloaded. And so you to get that to become a true loyalty program, and not like what Lindsey was talking about, just a rebate program, you want people to be using your loyalty program throughout, not just at point of sale. And that may be reminding them about something, that may be how they keep track of their progress in a certain behavior, but then that becomes part of their day and part of their being. And that's when habits form, and then that leads into something you would rather, as Lindsey was saying, you pay extra for.
Great. One of the things I think the consumer never really looks at is that loyalty programs are not free to run, right? Vetlocity has cost, they're not free to run. So how, first of all, can you talk a little bit about the cost of running a loyalty program? I think there's 3 people here who could really, all 4 of you really could comment on that. And second of all, talk about the cost justification of it, Clearly, there has to be an ROI involved in that, and that's probably different per program. So can you just touch on that a little? Start with Lindsey.
Yeah, sure. So loyalty programs are not for the faint of heart. You got to be in it for a while, because people are usually behind new loyalty programs as they go, and the ones that have to stop short or can no longer fulfill the requirements are the ones that people go bananas about. But so from an ongoing perspective, obviously, if you're doing some sort of loyalty that's cash, you have to have money in the bank, right? So that's separate. But from a support perspective, you want to ensure that people understand the process, they know where to go to for questions, and then they expect it as quickly as possible. And with mobile and other aspects like this, you can do it relatively cost effectively. There's very expensive ways to have, I'll drive to your house and hold your hand, sweetheart, and type on this computer for you. And there's ways to have it kind of automated online to where people can kind of self-serve and self-help. So from that perspective, what we've seen is we've had very efficient ones who self-run as long as they put the work up front to answer all maybe the black holes or the loopholes or the questions that might come up. And there's some who, as a cost of doing business or as a business decision, have decided to like double down on customer service and do hand-to-hand combat.
That's good. So I personally, in our company, fundamentally believes that there's not enough room in any transaction at any point of sales system, whether you're a small business or a very large company, to be able to afford both the payment cost of interchange, which is why MCX was formed a couple of years back, and to afford customer loyalty. Something's got to give. Paying 3.5% to 4% fully in, including chargebacks and interchange fees for any business, small business or large, is absolutely irresponsible. And so now you want to add loyalty on top of that, which can be anywhere from, at the very, very minimum, 1% to 5% of your transaction. And what's left? There goes your profit margin as a business. So we believe very firmly that, first of all, and I can attest that we're right. Starbucks moved their model, if you know, this year from a star-based system based on number of visits to what you spend. We founded our company on the premise that whenever you spend, you get rewarded based on what you spent, not the times you walk into Starbucks. So that kind of further complicates the message, which is, so every time I go in and I spend now $3.87 on a grande pike place, I'm getting the equivalent of a star. But if you go into Caribou, for example, who has somewhat of a quasi-loyalty program, they're actually paying given a higher percent. It's not the 1 in 10, it's closer to 15% reward. So now you've got a combination of, I'm paying for that 1 cup of coffee as either Starbucks or Caribou. I'm paying, let's say at a $3.80, I'm paying 17 cents to process your credit card payment, 19 or 20 cents if it's the American Express Sky Miles card, and I'm going to reward you 10% for coming back in and buying again from me. There goes the profit margin, right? So I really appreciate the fact that Walmart, Target, Publix, and the other 38 companies bound together a couple of years to create this MCX, merchant customer exchange, with the understanding that they were going to eliminate credit cards and all of us were going to pay with our debit, not really, our ACH, our checking accounts, to cut out the Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discovers of the world. And so they went down the same path, saying, if we reduce the cost to take your payment, we're going to reward you as the consumer and keep these big bad credit card companies out of our hair. Well, that's actually what we do as a company. So it took us 5 years, literally, from the time we started to get approval from JP Morgan Chase to go a very different route. We're the third company in the country to take this approach. Amazon was the first, Uber was the second, and we were the third. I had 14 proctored exams, just so you know, to get this thing done, and to put my house on, under foreclosure. No, it's about that bad, because of bank regulations. But what we ended up being is a full liability submitter under this model that works in an investment banking scenario, where we basically can process any brand, any issued credit card for a flat 2% rate. Later this year, when we migrate with the other big partners into ChaseNet, which is, instead of going down the Visa rail, it goes from Chase credit card, which by the way is 25% of the U.S. consumer pocket. It goes from Chase Bank to Chase, and it's all done on us. It's called inside of the bank. It never goes down the Visa rail. There's no interchange. And by combining that with PIN debit, we now get the rate down for all of our merchants, even the very small coffee shop down by Joe and Lou, down to 1.5%. So now that frees them up to be able to actually reward all of us as consumers and customers to keep coming back to their little shop versus going to Caribou or going to Starbucks. So in my opinion, I think that's what makes loyalty work from a financial perspective.
Awesome.
Cut the payments out and give the money back to the customer, but don't take it out of my profit.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thoughts? Claus?
Yeah, I mean,
All this?
I think one of the things in our world with animal health, you have also ability. So one of your biggest costs is actually the rebates and the rewards that you're giving back to the pet owners for their purchases, like Ron was talking about. And there are ways you can play with that are some are more customer friendly and some are not, but with strategic breakage. And so, we have some clients that want to have a program. They want everyone to know about it, but they want to make it difficult for the consumer to actually pull through and actually execute it and get their money back. There are ways, and we'll talk about mobile as a way that actually really creates a great customer experience, and it helps enable customers to embrace a loyalty program. But that's not always what your client may want. They may want there to be hurdles in the process so that not every purchase is then rewarded or a rebate been given for that, based upon budget restrictions and the size of the product that they're trying to market. So that is you smirk and you think, well, that's kind of playing dirty pool, but that's how they're able to have a program and support it financially.
Have you ever tried to redeem anything from My Coke Rewards? Anyone? Evidently you drink a lot of soda because My Coke Rewards points expire after 60 days and you need an awful lot of them to buy anything.
Well, it only expires after 60 if you don't put more in it.
Right, if you're not constantly drinking more soda.
Yeah.
Right, well, that's what they want. They make it hard. They are the geniuses. I'm actually not faulting them. I actually love that program. Think about how brilliant it is. Everybody knows about that program. Everybody feels like they're participating in this program on these millions of bottles, and they don't actually spend a lot of money on that program as a company significantly at all. All right, Eric, I want to give you a chance to. You ran a loyalty program. What about the costs involved in all that?
I think there's at least something different than what's been said is that there's an invisible cost to a loyalty program, which is the user experience. If you are running a conventional loyalty program, you have a card that somebody makes a punch hole in, they have to hand it over to the cashier, they have to punch that hole, and they have to educate the customer, a first-time customer, on how to use this thing. And the glory of mobile is that you can have an experience within your phone that can teach you, that can tell you how to use it, and that in an ideal world can get out of the way of the cashier so that their experience is just charge for whatever you're trying to purchase, and then move on and to the next customer. And you still get your reward, you still are able to use their data, you're still able to pull them back into the business, but without a sort of cumbersome experience. And that's, I think, sort of an essential part of a loyalty program.
I agree. And that's a great segue, because that's why we're here, and that's to talk about mobile, not just about loyalty programs in general. So I'd like to continue to drill this down and get more and more specific. So let's talk about mobile's impact on the loyalty business as a whole and on loyalty programs. So I'll give you a couple of thoughts here, and you can chime in where you think it's appropriate. How has mobile changed the way points are earned? How has it changed the way points are paid out? How has it changed the way people interact with their loyalty programs? How has it changed people's willingness to be part of loyalty programs? And then I think most importantly, how has it changed the effectiveness, either positive or negative, of the way people associate with loyalty? So this is the big topic. So it's time to be good.
Could you repeat those?
Yeah, sure. how has mobile changed the way loyalty points are earned? How has it changed the way they're paid out? How has it changed the way people interact? How has it changed the way that your willingness to join at all? And how has it changed the effectiveness, positive or negative, on loyalty?
I think overall, in terms of speed and information, I think are the two biggest things. You can receive your points automatically, you can spend your points automatically. It also allows you to constantly check where you are in the system, in the process. I have a jawbone, I know people have Fitbits, but I'm like throughout the day, like, how many steps did I take now? What if I run really quickly over here? How many is that? So I think that allows people to say, okay, I just purchased this, or I just flew this Delta flight. Now, how many points did I get? Like, it's almost kind of gamification of that. But then mobile also allows a cost-effective way to redeem your points. So they have virtual cards now, which you replace the plastic and the paper and everything else that goes out. It's just available immediately there. people can use it for, any sort of redemption. It also allows you to streamline the process to they only participate in what you actually need them to get moving forward. So speed, information, cost effectiveness.
So you're saying it's all positive. Mobiles have
Yes.
a completely positive influence on loyalty.
Until your mom tries to do it on.
I'm not sure that's specific to
Yes.
loyalty, but yeah,
Yes.
I see your point there.
I think I have to download this app first, and then you just send her online.
Yeah. I'm not under 40, but I think everyone under 40 feels like they are their parents' IT person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay. Ron?
So I think two things. One is we are a society of instant gratification with the advent of the smartphone. Not so much with the flip phone, but certainly with the smartphone. And if you all look around, I mean, with very minor exception, we all have it right in front of us. And some, I see you've got an Apple Watch too. Yep. So I'm constantly tethered to these two devices. And now with CarPlay in both of my vehicles, I'm done. I'm a mobile consumer. And I'm not 40 something. But so part of it is the instant gratification and being able to earn, we always say earn and burn, earn rewards and burn those rewards in a very easy fashion where you're not pulling out one of your, have you seen those moms at Kroger? No offense to anybody. I've got my Kroger card and my CVS card and my wallet and my Apple wallet. Yeah, so, but man, I literally, the big hook, like they use for repelling rocks, they've got all these cards, these plastic rewards cards for every freaking program in the world. I'm like, how do you keep up with all that? And it gets even worse. My EVP of product, his wife Jenny, who is, if she can smell a penny, she's going to find it. And I tell you, he has to call her before he leaves home so she can tell him which gas station to stop by and which card to use that day. So that's one extreme to the other, right? And I'm telling you, that's the truth. It's the way the world is. So mobile, I think, eliminates the plastic, which is really huge. It is instant gratification. It never leaves our side. My alarm clock is on this, like probably most of yours is as well. And it's a 24/7 device that just keeps us whole. So I think that's really the advantage of mobile and loyalty.
So I think as Ron was saying, you have your phone with you all the time. It's about the integration into the other apps within the phone. So in our space within animal health, one of the big challenges we face again is we don't know who these pet owners are, but also how can we influence them and educate them. And so with mobile, with your app being a mobile app, it can integrate with the push notifications, with the calendar and note systems. And so you can start educating and reminding and changing behaviors of consumers in a way that they're used to getting anyways. A push notification they'll actually pay attention to because it's just like all the other ones they get. You're not introducing a new way of doing something to them. And again, and then Lindsey talked about with the Fitbit, I mean, the future is only further integration with other devices. With Alexa in your home. Could you imagine, now we're talking animal health here, but even human health, if the app could remind you when you need to go to the physician or when you need to pick up the prescription medication for your dog, then that's when it becomes truly integrated and it's no longer loyalty, it's something you can't live without. It's how you live your life.
Great.
I think one of the really nice things is you have a pipe directly from your marketing department to your users, and you can send them any information you'd like, and the only fear you should have about doing that is that they will stop looking at some point. And you have so many opportunities to, for instance, we are a society of instant gratification, and when you go to sign in for a new app, you want to sign in, you don't want to fill out a form, you want to sign in through Facebook. And so you're just handing over gobs of information about yourself, potentially information like who are your friends and what are their email addresses. And you can use this to leverage marketing in a way that is unique and really exciting, I think. So I'd say that's a great part of loyalty on mobile.
I agree. You're the only person who brought it up, but to me, one of the biggest values is that the mobile is a one-to-one, right? A message on TV is one to everyone, but a message that comes to your phone, that's directly the brand speaking to you, and that wasn't possible before these types of channels. So I think that's a great segue sort of into our last topic, and that's what's coming tomorrow. I mean, you touched on this a little bit, but we'll go this way next time. So what is the future of loyalty programs, and how is mobile a part of that?
I think the future of mobile loyalty is going to be less just a loyalty program, but more of a service. So when I see loyalty done really well, I look at companies like Stripe or any of those. You go and swipe your credit card on an iPad. A variety of Little Tart is a good example. You go there and you just swipe your credit card there, and they're sucking up a lot of information and tracking you between their payment systems at Little Tart or Walmart or wherever it may be. And this is sort of a transition away from just being a loyalty solution and moving into sort of payment processing, and a lot of and marketing is tied into this too. So I think that loyalty is going to sort of bloom into creative and bloom into marketing and bloom into sales and advertising a lot more than we've seen in the past.
I think we talked about Delta Sky Miles, and I think where that's been a successful program, but I think the next step is the upper echelon of customer experience when the loyalty programs start to educate you about how you can be a better consumer. And that may not always lead to purchasing more products, but that leads you to how do you get the greatest value from our product or our service. And that may be, as I've talked about, more than just point of sale transaction, but educating you about the products, about the services. As we live in Atlanta, I fly Delta all the time, but it takes a PhD to figure out their point system and the miles plus all of that. I would love for that app to push more things to me to help me improve my traveling experience, know when I should be buying flights, what are the best seats on a plane. Again, that just gets me even deeper into looking at it as a resource, not just a reward. And I think that philosophy, I think, will make it even more indispensable.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree too. So I think loyalty is going to go down channel rather quickly. Down channel meaning from the plenties of the world with multi-million-dollar budgets down to Zocalo level. Today Zocalo doesn't have a loyalty program. Well, they have ours, but outside of that. So
They're getting a lot of good airtime.
they are. You can tell. By the way, I have a margarita there every Friday, so or four.
We'll be there.
But,
So we'll see you all there tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you there tomorrow. I guarantee it.
All on your program.
On my program. But I think the reality is that there's kind of a convergence of reduced cost in accepting payments, which is it started with the big pressure from MCX and others. So that's already starting to trickle down into the small business sector, which, by the way, from a transaction volume and the number of locations, really eclipses the big boys, if you think about it. And it's going to help. You're talking about a one-to-one relationship. It's amazing when you're sitting even at the restaurant, and you look around at all the tables, and just like we are now, I'm on my phone, you're on your phone. Two people at the table are not communicating. They're Snapchatting. They're on Facebook. They're texting. They're reading emails. And so the one-to-one relationship isn't with me at the restaurant and the server or the bartender or the chef. It's me with my Outlook. So I expect that loyalty is going to come full circle at the small business level, where you put your phone down and you have the conversation with your server, and they don't leave the table to run back and get your money. They do it from phone to phone, right? So when they check you out mobile, they're right there with you. You can hide the tip. You don't have to worry about that. But it's going to push that loyalty level down where it's back to one-on-one communication, even if it's through the mobile device. At least you're staring eye to eye. And I think that's going to be kind of the next generation of a real loyalty, putting it back in the mom and pops.
Lindsey?
Yeah, so as an operations person, I hope to goodness that the next loyalty round will reduce all paper altogether whatsoever in any form. Even if we have the most slick, high-end technical solution, there's always some avenue where someone has to fill something out or mail something in, and then I have to staple it together and then scan it in over here. So I know at Vetlocity, one of our greatest solutions is that we can take the data directly out of a practice management system and then be the kind of invisible concierge for your loyalty as it goes. And so the consumer wakes up the next day and says, you purchased this product and you are eligible for this rewards program. And in that sense, it allows people to see a value and feel valued, and they have to do very little in order to get that. So I hope to goodness we're not opening mail this time next year.
I have to say, the one thing that nobody touched on, I think that when you're looking at mobile loyalty, you have to consider location-based technology, you know, things like beacons and the ability for me to reward you just for walking in the door. I could be passing by Zocalo and they could spot me as somebody who has their app and say, come in right now, I'll give you a discount or extra loyalty points or whatever it is. So
Free guacamole.
free guacamole. I'm all about the free. I
You
go
and
eat
me.
there right now for free guacamole. So I think there's an element of tapping into our devices in real time that's going to be part of the future of loyalty, but I think it's somewhat undefined. I mean, you look at companies like Federated, who own Macy's and Bloomingdale's and others, they're doing big testing in this space, but nothing's live. I mean, I still think we're a year or two from that.
I can tell you a bit about why that is.
Okay.
So in order to do any sort of location-based advertising, you need the user to have your app installed.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you are just some guy walking down the street, you likely don't have that app installed. And so you're not able to send a message. There's a place in technology that just, there isn't anything that fills that role yet. And I don't know that consumers ever really want that role to be filled, because I personally don't want to go walking down the street and have every single place telling me I should come in and get $5.
But if you already have the Starbucks app, wouldn't you want that Starbucks as you're passing it to incentivize you
Absolutely.
versus the one closer to your house?
Absolutely.
I mean, I happen to know from doing some work with Federated, they are actually testing where the environment in the store will change as you're walking around the store. It'll play your favorite music, it'll change the lighting, it'll do all the things just to adapt specifically to you. Now, that's not loyalty, but it's using your device to tap into the data that they've got about you. And I definitely think there's an element that
So you have Justin Bieber music following?
doesn't, if you want, I don't understand.
That's a good point. So back to the beacons. There's, the beacons have finally matured to the point from a tech perspective where they are cost effective, and with 5-year battery lives now, you can put it in we tested in 30 degree below weather in Maine on gas pumps. So it's reached the point now where they're cost effective, where we actually, part of our merchant kit, when a small business enrolls, they self-enroll. The moment they go live in the network into the merchant marketplace, they get a little kit which includes a Bluetooth beacon. And that Bluetooth beacon is really critical for us as a company. Eric, you kind of touched on this. I'm in complete agreement. The beacons, even though they broadcast 250 meters, which is quite a distance, what the reception does, what the listening app does on multiple devices and multiple apps, determines what the user experience is. So our merchant beacon network doesn't allow passersby to receive a message. Even if we wanted to, we made that decision 3 years ago that we weren't going to allow that.
But isn't that, I don't mean to interrupt you, but isn't that a technology restriction? If the beacons were much, much, much better, you wouldn't have that problem?
No, they're great. They work flawlessly.
So it's not the beacon?
It's not the beacon. It's personal preference. So we believe that if you're in a place and we know you're in a place for a minute, then we're going to allow the push notification.
Cool.
But to your point, how many apps do you have to have? Whose apps are you going to have?
Yeah.
So our little Trojan horse plan, which so far seems to be working, is that we're allowing all of our partners' apps, so that's Sprint, the 40 million GM apps. If you have Amazon Shopping on your app, our large-scale pilot begins in October. They'll have access to the same benefit. So basically, one beacon network, one merchant interface, 25 different apps that you probably already have on the front screen of your phone. And then you either opt in or you opt out. And if you're ready to pay, you tap the notification, you press and hold, and it either produces a QR code or a 3-digit code, depending on where you are, and the person behind the counter knows what to do. And I think that's really the longevity in the future is we're 6 months away.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, I want to open the floor. Are there any questions for the panelists? Anything we didn't cover? Mr. Cobb.
There were no comments of negativity, and I'm cynical. I want to know what's gone wrong. You don't have to drop names of clients or yourselves or anything. You can say what if or hypothetically. But personally, when Starbucks changed their point system, I didn't make a conscious decision to stop using it. I just stopped using it.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up one day and I realized I haven't been to Starbucks in ages because I went in and things changed, and I don't like it. And I didn't even know I don't like it. All I know is I started going to the corner store with the local shop because they're not a big brand. And no, they don't do my order perfect every time and all that stuff, but they're humans. And my app relationship is different, and I don't like it.
Yep.
And so, have there been, Bill, you touched on, yes, some customers want to introduce hurdles and things like that. And I'm not an idiot, I'm a marketer, so when I saw the change, I understood it instantly.
Yeah, right.
And that's probably was all very subconscious and like, oh, just I'm done. I don't want to play a game with you. Don't mess with our relationship. It works.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've changed.
Yeah. We're breaking up. So I want to know: have you had any situations where, say, the client or yourself have said, "Hey, we want to tweak this a little bit." You've seen that adverse reaction because the genius of Starbucks was the prepayment. I mean, it's the most successful. From what I've read, it is the most successful mobile payment system in the world.
Yep.
And it's genius that I prepay. And right now I've got $30 to $50 sitting on a card that I may not use for another year or something. I don't know.
I love that idea. So
And I
failures. I want to hear this from the
Yeah, how do you
people who are on the loyalty
So-
program.
So what's going wrong?
No, I mean, from a mobile perspective, when I think marketers get greedy and try to make it do too much, and they're making it an extension of their website, an extension of the brochure, and now I want to tell you about this. Like, just allow it to be what it is, and it's a loyalty app. It's another feeder into the mother system, right? Mothership. We've had that where, what are we trying? Now you just have a website on an app, and that doesn't make sense, right? So just let them do that. I think when you talk about loyalty, it has to be, you have to value it, it has to be valuable to someone else. So when people are just trying to give it to say they've done it, that has also not been a positive experience. So if you build it, they won't come, right?
Right.
So just making sure that distribution and then support. So if you have a mobile feed into whatever it may be, you need to have people to support it who understand the mobile space. And you can't outsource that portion to where people don't understand how to encourage the loyalty system to continue to run. So those are the three hiccups I've seen. Trying to make it too much, not making it valuable, and then not having people who can support it from an ongoing perspective.
Cool.
I think back to it's too complex. If you have to do the math, it's a loser.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
the Delta model, I call it.
Yeah.
I know. I used to love that, but now I don't anymore.
Thoughts?
So I don't think Lindsey's team has done this, but we've seen this with other competitors. When you're not going mobile and you're still cutting checks to for example, pet owners, and you don't even have the brand on the check. You don't even the pet owner doesn't even know where the check came from. It's just $10, and that's another one, is maybe the rebate or the reward is so low that they don't even want to cash it in. And if you look at cash rates, depending upon the programs, I mean, sometimes they vary as low as 40% up to 80%. Not 90% is a good one, but then when they get the check and there's nothing even in the letter and they don't even know who it came from, it's a completely wasted engagement. And I think so that's one of the things why Lindsey was talking about getting away from paper and getting towards mobile. We'll hope make it more of an intimate one-to-one relationship, and you can get away with some of the get away from some of those mistakes.
Thoughts, Eric?
I think there is a fundamental problem in the loyalty space, which, at least from my experience, we were trying to show that we drove more traffic into a store, and I am not entirely sure that there is any way to prove that you drove more traffic into a store. It gets down to a gut feeling on some level, and you don't know that you're not cannibalizing their customers. And so I found that to be probably the biggest struggle that we had in the mobile space, in the loyalty space, not even just the mobile space. It was how do you add value and not cannibalize people's customers? And I think the way to do that is to provide other services, marketing or sales or any of these types of things that you could do through a mobile app or any sort of media.
I think we have time for one more question. Anybody have another? All right, if there aren't others, I want to thank everyone, especially our four panelists and our gracious hosts at Brown Bag. Thank you all for being here. We hope you'll come to future meetings. We look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks.
Thanks again.